I'm Tamara Marie, plant-based nutrition and body sculpting coach, and I'm here to talk about cycle syncing. Should you be training for your cycle? Now, I had a client ask me this question because apparently it became a big hashtag on the gram and the TikToks and all of the things that the kids are on. I don't know. I'm 42 and I feel like I'm 82 right now. But cycle syncing has been popularized, and it's basically the idea that through each phase of a woman's cycle that she should be doing things differently in terms of her training and nutrition. And I had a client who asked me about that. She wanted to know what was my take on cycle syncing and should you do it and can it help? So my advice is specifically for women who are 40 and over, who want to stay relatively lean and strong throughout the year, and who are trying to or would like to have a regular routine of exercise and are eating fairly well. Should you optimize by syncing your cycle with your training and your nutrition? So I'm going to break down in this video all of the reasons why cycle syncing may or may not be a good idea if you're in your 40s. And at the end, I will give you my final recommendation. And what is the cycle? I think everyone kind of knows, right, that women have this supposed 28-day cycle, even though we know it all varies from person to person. And we're most familiar with the menstruation phase, which is, let's face it, it's the nasty part. It's the reason why women's bathrooms are a disgrace. I'm just going to be real with you. I don't know why we have to go through it. I know it's nature and we can have babies and it's beautiful, but let's face it, what we go through once a month for 3 to 7 days, I don't know how many days, it's nasty, but we all know about it. It's part of nature. It's one of those beautiful things that we get to have as being the powerful feminine creatures that we are. So we usually associate the menstrual cycle with that phase, but there are other things that happen throughout the month. So first we have the follicular phase, and this is usually when our body is increasing in estrogen and we're ramping up for ovulation, which is, as we know, supposedly right at that day 14 of that perfect 28-day cycle. When an egg is released, you're beaming, all of the men are drawn to you, the moonlight is sparkling on you, you're fertile, you're ready to pounce. Anyway, that's ovulation. That lasts for like a day or two, right? So that's when the egg is actually released. And it's that sweet window where you can have a beautiful baby if that's what you choose to do. Then we have the luteal phase, which is when progesterone, which is another sex hormone, starts to increase and we feel a little bit different, supposedly. Okay, that's the gist of it. And it starts all back over again with the menstruation phase. Our estrogen peaks and then we go through this process over and over and over, over and over again. So that's the cycle. So we all know by now that we probably have our own relationship with our cycle. Maybe we have PMS that's really, really bad. Maybe we don't. Maybe some months are different than others. And really it's for that reason that I would say we might want to look at what is the cycle syncing thing all about. So number one, if you're thinking about cycle syncing over 40, there's one thing that you want to take into account. Everyone does not have a perfect 28-day cycle. So even if you're tracking your cycle, which if you're trying to have a baby or trying not to have a baby or just wanting to be more aware of your body and your health, then you may be tracking your cycle. I know there's apps that have it. There's different ways that you might be tracking it. That is great information to have. But if you have been tracking your cycle, you might realize that you don't have a perfect 28-day cycle. Maybe it's 29 days. Maybe it's 30 days. You could be different. But the thing is, if you're not tracking it, you don't really know. So that's the number one reason why I would say maybe cycle syncing isn't great, because it's another thing that we have to do. If we're not already tracking our cycle, which I mean, it's a good thing to do, right? You should know about your health, but let's say you're not doing it. That's just another thing, another piece of complexity to add to your life that you might not have time for right now. Let's face it, if you're in your 40s, you probably have other responsibilities for people smaller than you, people bigger than you, for your job, for your business. You don't have time to be sitting there going, should I eat broccoli today because I'm in day 4 of my luteal phase? Come on. So just for practicality, if you're planning your activities around where you are in your cycle, it can be a little bit cumbersome. The second reason why I think, especially for women over 40, cycle syncing might not be ideal is because even if you had a perfect 28-day textbook cycle for your entire life, once you hit perimenopause in your 40s sometime for most women, that can go out of the window. So all of this, oh, well, on day one of my cycle, I do deadlifts because I feel strong. Well, maybe your cycle is 32 days one month, 7 days the next month. Or if you have PCOS, right? PCOS, you probably also do not have a regular cycle. So if you were trying to sync your training and your nutrition to your cycle, you would drive yourself mad. On top of the fact you probably already feel mad because your hormones are going like this. So again, why are we adding this complexity to it? It's not reliable because our bodies are changing. And when we're going through menopause, perimenopause, puberty number 2, then all those things really go out of the window. So why even try? I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense if your body is constantly changing month after month after month. The third reason why cycle syncing might not be ideal for you is science. This study right here says that there is no difference in performance or strength for women who try to sync up their training routine with different phases of their cycle. So that's a simple one. It doesn't work. Here's reason number 4. Every cycle is different. So just like every pregnancy is different, every cycle can be different. Just because you have really bad PMS one month doesn't mean the next month you're going to have it just as bad. It varies. So again, if you're going to be planning your training around that, it makes absolutely no sense because maybe one month is not going to be the same. And you're already, if you're in perimenopause, your cycle is already irregular. So once again, we're adding in more complexity, and we know complexity is the enemy of execution. So the more things we add that we have to think about, consider, caveat, we are less likely to follow through with sensible training and nutrition in the first place. And the 5th reason it doesn't make sense is once you hit menopause, which is 12 months without a menstrual cycle, you don't have a cycle to sync with. What's the point in going through all this for 8 years, 7 years to get maybe a little bit more results for syncing with something that's changing? Come on. It's not a permanent state. You're going to get through this, and worrying about syncing your cycle with your training just, again, makes it more difficult, more complicated than it really has to be for minimal, if any, according to science, none, if any, improvement. So what should you do instead? You're a woman 40 and over. You've heard about cycle syncing. Your cycle is maybe all over the place. Maybe it's still relatively normal. Maybe you don't have one. Maybe you haven't had one for months. How does that impact your training and your nutrition? Well, first, let's talk about training. The first thing that you need to do when you're training is to listen to your body. It doesn't matter what the calendar says. It doesn't matter if you are in day 1 of your luteal phase or your follicular phase or day 7.5. It doesn't matter if there's Mercury retrograde or if there's a full moon. Go to the gym and get your training in. Don't make excuses for why you can't go. Now, you already know if you are having a really heavy flow in your period, you probably don't want to go to the gym anyway. Or if you do, you're probably going to take a light that day. So just don't create another layer of complexity. Go to the gym, keep a regular schedule, do what works and makes sense for your lifestyle, not reading the tea leaves or pulling out a tarot card and deciding, you know what, I'm going to do yoga today. No deadlifts for me. It says I'm a sea urchin today. The cards. It's the cards. And then my cycle. What are we doing? Go to the gym, get your workout in. So first, get on a regular training schedule. Number 2, listen to your body. Every single workout is different. You should not be mapping this to when your eggs are moving in and out of your fallopian tubes. What you should be considering instead is, how do I feel today? 1, how did I sleep last night? Am I walking around like a zombie? Probably don't want to go and deadlift 400 pounds today or hit a PR on my squat. Number 2, am I fed well? Have I been eating enough protein? Do I have enough carbohydrates to fuel me with the energy to get through an intense workout? Number 3, what are my fats looking like? Because if I'm not eating enough fats, my hormone levels are probably going to be even more volatile because you need that fat and even vitamin D, right, is a fat soluble vitamin. It acts more like a hormone. So if you don't have that fat in your body, you're going to be doing yourself a disservice. So these are things you need to take into consideration. Listen to your body. Every workout is different. Some days you feel stronger than others. Some days you feel weaker than others. Some days you have more energy. Some days you want to push yourself. Some days you're just going through the motions. Let's face it, you just show up and you're logging your workout for the day, and you can check that in the win column. That is all you need to do. You are wise enough to listen to your body in the moment. And the last thing I want you to do is say, well, because I'm in day 14 of my cycle and I'm ovulating, I can't go to the gym today because that means I'm supposed to feel weak. That's like reading your horoscope before you go to the gym. Please don't do that. Go to the gym, listen to your body, push yourself as much as you can, and put in your 100% for that day. You also need to make sure that your body is properly fueled the entire month. That means getting adequate amount of protein, fats, and carbohydrates, like I just mentioned. Now, if you are experiencing cravings during certain parts of your cycle, then you know you want to make sure you have some healthy food options around so that you don't go and eat an entire bag of potato chips or binge on Ben and Jerry's ice cream if you know that that's going to happen to you. And oftentimes, it is not a true hunger cue. It is an emotional hunger that we have. There's something that we're anxious about, we're nervous about, we're depleted, we're exhausted, we're afraid, we feel isolated, we feel lonely. These are the reasons why we're triggered to eat certain foods. That's why they call them comfort foods. There is a gut brain connection that we don't fully understand, but we do know that I'm craving mac and cheese and chocolate. These are my favorite foods. Sorry if I triggered you. But we're craving these foods because they remind us of things we love. They make us feel good. They actually do impact our biochemistry. So it really doesn't have anything to do with what our true nutritional needs are. Our nutritional needs do not change throughout the month. If you have a steady stream of amino acids in your body from healthy plant-based proteins, from whole food fats, and getting carbohydrates that fuel your body that also have fiber, again, these are all plant-based sources, then you will be able to feel relatively stable throughout the month and minimize those shifts that come with those hormonal changes. So fuel your body every single day. Do not try to make adjustments based on what the calendar says. Go with how you feel. And if you know you're going to have cravings, set yourself up for success by having some healthy options in the house, having a friend that you can call or hang out with, doing whatever you can so that you remain healthy throughout the month and you don't use your cycle as an excuse to overeat or to indulge and then think you're going to make up for it the rest of the month, because trust me, it's not going to work. So that's my take on cycle syncing. I hope you found this helpful. Really, if you're a woman in your 40s, you have so much other stress in your life. You do not need to complicate it by trying to align your strength and training and your nutrition with what the calendar says and with what your body is doing hormonally. What we want to do is work with our bodies, make sure we're fed nutritionally, make sure we have the right training program in place that will make us stronger, that will diminish some of these mood swings and things that we go through. And if we really need to add in some supplementation, that would be the last thing I would recommend. I've actually developed a supplement that really does help with your metabolism, with your energy, with your strength, with your recovery, because recovery is so important. So I've developed the Fit 40 Formula Sculpt and Tone Gummies. That's my first supplement that really does help you just maintain your energy as you're trying to get that edge that maybe you lost, that you had when you were in your 20s, when you had more energy. These are those little things we need to give us that boost. So supplementation, I would say, might be the last trigger to pull. And if all else fails, I know hormonal replacement therapy has had a bad rap. And I think that over the years, it has been pretty unhealthy. But I think if you can find a practitioner that can have a more balanced and more natural approach, there are some options that aren't made from horse urine, because yes, that's what they were giving women. Estrogen made from equine sources, or whatever it is for the fancy word they use for horses. There are healthier options now. There are more, not animal-based options. So I would say work with a holistic practitioner that can help you figure out what supplements to take, and if you need to do HRT or hormonal replacement therapy because everything else hasn't worked, you've done everything, you've optimized everything, and you still can't get yourself functioning, then I would say that would be a last resort. So in the world of health and nutrition, I try not to have these hard and fast rules. Think about your body and what works for you and try to do it as naturally as you can. But do not shy away from doing what you need to do. If the doctor says you have to take a medication, you have to take a medication. Your goal should be to get off of that medication and to make the lifestyle adjustments that you can so that you don't need to take it anymore. But I don't want you to simply say that for some principle that you're not going to take care of your body when we have modern medicine available. That doesn't mean jump for the pill the first thing. There's so many other things that we can do with our lifestyle, with our nutrition, with our training that can make us thrive through this phase of life, and we don't have to be looking at the calendar and checking to see what is our JJ doing to see if we should go to the gym. Go to the gym, get in your training, eat your protein, do it consistently, And if you need help, feel free to reach out to me. I am here to coach you. Again, I am a plant-based nutrition and body sculpting coach. So if you want to get that physique of your dreams and you're in your 40s and you're like, I used to be able to just go on a run and not eat for 2 days and I would lose 10 pounds and that's not working anymore. Look in the comments. I will leave a link for you to apply if you want to see if working with me would be helpful to you so we can figure out the simple principles that you can apply so you can get the body that you want, stay lean year round without having to be tied to and be a slave to mapping and syncing with your cycle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment. Let me know if you found this helpful, if you want me to make more content like this. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it with a friend that wants to do cycle syncing and sync with this instead. Get your training in consistently and eat right to fuel your body and you will feel better. I'm Tamara Marie. I hope you have a beautiful, healthy, and happy day. I'll catch you in the next video.